We also noticed that many long ago residents over the years of Waterford's history wrote poems. So we decided to combine the present and the past together into a National Poetry Month celebration. The first local poet I'm going to introduce is Beth Now, who lives near a section of town once known as Waterford Hollow, and she's also my neighbor. Beth is not only a poet, but also the author of several adventure travel and local history books and novels. She is also one of the founding members of the Waterford Historical Society. Beth is going to read a poem, Invitation to April.
I have a sister who writes more poetry than I do, and hers are all what they call forms. They rhyme, they have lines that are the same length, and I admire it tremendously, and I've never been able to do it. So mine tend to be kind of storytelling poems. And I was thinking of you all as I wrote this way back at the beginning of March, and it's called Invitation to April. I'm a fool for April, joyful on every sunny morning, splashing in puddles on the other days, putting away the heavy coats and pretending it never snows this late. I'm a garden nut in April, spreading catalogs on all the tables, making lists of 5 kinds of tomatoes, even though I know I'll plant the same ones as last year. Maybe one new kind. I'm torn loose from the desk in April, blown like pussy willow fluff across the fields, trudging along the deer trails, pretending my bad knee has turned young again, trying to jump across the brook, splash. I'm a wanderer and a wanderer, and April turns me wild and windy, tangled hair and muddy boots, garden dirt smudged on my face and bird calls on my mind. So just picture me in April, in the garden or the forest, by the lake or on the mountain, in the green and silver magic. Every fool like me in April needs a smiling friend nearby.
Our next local poet is one of our long-term residents, having lived in the upper Waterford, which was flooded by the Moore Dam. Pat Powers was recently celebrated in an article in the North Star. She writes every day. I wish I did. We interviewed her for our oral history video project. A presentation will take place in the Fellowship Hall here on Saturday, June 17, and the details are on the back of tonight's program. Pat is going to read her poem, Vermont Country Roads.
I didn't know we were having such a large audience, or I probably would have said no. I don't consider myself a poet. I have a friend who sort of got me interested in this, in our church. And I just gave it a try. I thought maybe it would help to keep my mind active because I'm getting a little old. But this is what I wrote about Vermont country roads. Vermont country roads are fun to travel. A few have pavement, but mostly gravel. They differ greatly from town to town. The Waterford roads are best to be found. Some roads are winding, narrow, and steep. Others are bumpy and you almost creep. But travel with caution wherever you go, for otherwise you can easily end up with a tow. The roads can be muddy in early spring, and driving on them is another thing. But no matter the season, country roads take you places, new views, new houses, and a lot of new faces. Country roads are the best traveled when summer is here. A drive in the evening, watch out for the deer. Seeing the wildflowers along the roadside makes you so glad you went out for a ride. Some roads we travel to see new places, new things, while other roads are traveled for the memories they bring. the church in the valley, the farm on a hill, can remind you of your childhood, and memories linger still. But of all the roads traveled, the best is surely to be the road that leads home and back to your family.
Okay, the next poem is from the past, and it is set right here in Lower Waterford. Raise your hand if you have ever heard of Pucker Street. Aha, good. Good number. Good number that haven't either. This is from Helen. It's possible that name came from Captain Timothy Hazelton. We'll leave it to you to decide if the street name comes from tart choke cherries or if there was a woman who lived on the road to Barnet and who was stuck up according to legend. Who knows? Maybe she rebuffed Captain Hazelton's advances because he settled in Barnet and not Waterford. Our research uncovered there is music for this poem, but we're still working on finding it. The Pucker Street song will be read by Sandy Lyon, one of our local auditors for the town.
The Pucker Street song. Oh, when I lived in Barnet, I lived as a farmer, but now I live on Pucker Street, I'm forced to swing the hammer. And if I do not strike, my master will scold. Oh, that I was 21 years old. Oh, when I lived in Barnet, I lived at my ease, but now I live in Pucker Street, my master to please. The shop, it is leaky, my master does scold. Oh, that I was 21 years old. Oh, Pucker Street is a very fine place, adored with majesty and grace. It's built down under Rabbit Hill, a tavern, store, and clover mill. Oh, Pucker Street is very compact. The streets are laid out very exact. The buildings are built one above another, 2-story on one side and one on the other. Hale makes ox shoes, and he'll set them on. All he will charge is a bushel of corn. He'll shoe oxen, and he'll shoe a horse. And Hale, he swear he'll run out Morse. Morse makes plows, and he'll iron a sleigh. For one half, he'll never get his pay. His shop stands down by the little rill, and he owns one half of the clover mill. Cummins sits up all night, and he'll make a sleigh, while his apprentice doth lie abed all day. In Pucker Street will plead a rear, and John Cushman is the Lord Mayor. Asa Robbins, he raised him a sign. He did not have custom to meet his mind. He took it down to the ground when he found he was running down. Oh, Mrs. Goss is very nice. Viney is all covered with nits and lice. Mrs. Hale, she with Legion is inspired. She wants to move away to live more retired. Dr. Bugby has got him a house, and after a great long touse, and when it was raised, it made a great laugh, and he gave Joe Knight the Gam Hog's calf. Old Uncle Cheney has got him a mill, built down under this little hill. He's always in it when it doth rain, and he says he'll grind your grist by cane. They've got them a minister in this place, and his head is red as any taste. He goes to meeting on the Sabbath day, and he has to get his deacons to pray.
Dot Borsodi, also a local auditor for the town, will read the next poem written by a long-gone resident of Upper Waterford, Better Nelson Carpenter. What's important to know is that Upper Waterford was a municipal and commercial hub for all of Waterford until the railroad went through at the other end of town after the Civil War. So when you come across early references to Waterford, the writers are talking about the village that was upriver from Lower Waterford. Dot will read Waterford.
As I sit alone with my mending, and time seems to be passing slow, I think of Waterford as it was some 20 years ago. The houses were filled with people, the children there seemed no end. They'd gather at different places, the happy evenings to spend. I remember the little dance hall that stood in the very middle, where the young folks came from far and near to dance to Emmett's Fill. Many a Sunday school picnic has gone to Partridge Lake to spend the day boating and swimming and eating sandwiches and cake. For a long time, Reverend Bacon came from Littleton year after year to teach the truth of the Bible to them who would come and hear. Death has claimed many good citizens. Each home has had sorrow to bear, but friends tried and true stood ready each other's burden to share. The flood came in 1917. How well I remember that night. When we looked from our homes in the morning, the destruction was a sight. Fire swept away several houses and filled our hearts with fear, which made the ones remaining grow dearer every year. The schoolhouse now is closed, once filled with children gay, for there's only one pupil left and he studies at home every day. The neighbors now are moving away, each heart with anguish is filled, so we'll leave it all with the power company, and we hope they soon will build.
The final place here. The Historical Society regards Eugenie Powers as the town's first historian. After she died, her sister published her poems in an anthology titled Heights and Highlights, and you can check it out at the library. Jeannie never married, but by marriage is a third cousin to Pat Powers. We kid board member Tanya Powers a lot because she's our go-to person to sort out the Powers history. Our next reader is Bill here. Oh, he's hiding now. Okay, is retired lawyer Bill Piper, who once owned the post-colonial farmhouse Jeannie grew up in. And Bill is going to read Reflections.
Thank you, Donna. As Donna said, Kate and I owned the house for 10 years that Jeannie Powers grew up in, and I'm pretty sure she was living there when she wrote this poem. This poem is about the construction of the Waterford Dam and the changing of 15-Mile Falls to the reservoir that we have now. It's called Reflections. The water still that once was rushing, roaring. Excuse me. The water still that once was roaring, rushing. The dam compresses it. It's crushing, crushing. It lies there placid as a lake perforce, as if it longed to run its natural course. O river, mourn not, rather lap thy shore. Lie there placid, shimmering, evermore. Fight not against the binding rain. To break those bonds would only bring more pain. Lie there, reflect the clouds, the ducks, the sun. The low, compassionate hills when day is done. God gave you beauty and a song to sing, but man has silenced you from mouth to spring. God gave man power, therefore, river bow. What is the use of struggling now?
We have a late addition to our program. Paul Amy from the band Uncommon Folk brought us his poem on the state of the world regarding electronics. I think you will enjoy this take on the modern world of computers. Paul?
I used to run computers for a living, so I had a little idea of what would possibly happen if they all quit. So this is what I wrote down. 6 decades ago, computers were infant. One filled up 2 rooms and nothing was instant. A scientist dreamed to most of no matter, no daily routine of keyboard and clatter. Who could have ever foreseen a time when computers and life would join and entwine. 3 decades ago, computers got smaller. They were cheaper to run, and of course they ran cooler. They could balance your checkbook or check all your spelling, store special recipes, keep track of your fillings, play ping pong or golf or Monopoly game for the households that had it, a convenient change. Now the internet rules and the computers that run it bring in weather and news. We can like it or lump it. It helps you mitigate troubles you have with the law, gives you immediate access to your mother-in-law. Your light bill gets paid automatically now. You can shop for a sofa or a shiny new snowplow. Your will can be emailed direct to your lawyer. You can hire a carpenter to build a new foyer. Your life and the internet are wound up in tandem, like a brother you love and sometimes can't stand him. But what if the internet goes down with a crash, or your computers go out with a snap and a flash? Your paycheck, which they electronically send, is lost in the ether, no money to spend. No work is conducted at work or at home. All of a sudden, you may find yourself very alone. You can't send an email to your favorite Aunt Bun, and you can't drive to see her because your car will not run. The microwave popcorn you used to enjoy will not pop at all without computers employed. You'll have to wash dishes by hand with a sponge, for the digital dishwasher will not clean up the grunge. The news from the web is a thing of the past. Send the kids for the paper and tell them run fast. Gravity being a wonderful thing, all that goes up usually comes down again. Life today being artificially levitated, appetites for electronics rarely are sated. I wonder indeed how the world would adjust should the electronic world in a twinkling go bust. From the start, folks worked hard, grew plants and raised crops. They didn't watch movies or eat from a box. When the earth gives a nudge and begins her great leveling, there'll be a gnashing of teeth and a whole lot of sniveling. Like grasshoppers that play till the cold breezes blow, our race will be gone like the leaves before snow.
Another resident long gone from Upper Waterford is Robert E. Pike, whose sense of adventure was fed by the spring log drives down the Connecticut River. He is best known for 2 books on logging. The next poem appears in Tall Trees, Tough Men, that was published 50 years ago this month. Doesn't seem possible. It will be read by Al Borsodi. Al will read The Ballad of Rowan Burke.
The logging industry, there are 2 nice plaques up there between Lancaster and Stratford, and between Stratford and Colebrook, where they used to roll the logs down on the river. And those logs would go all the way down through the falls, down to the, what's the name of that big lake there when you get down to the end of the Connecticut River? Long Island Sound. That's where they used to go. Okay? And they used to use a peavey, this, to twist logs, and they used to use a pulp hook to take pulp. And I, as a young person, took pulp up to Groveton Mill. And of course, between 5 and 10 mills are gone in this area. Groveton, Gilman, Ethan Allen is much smaller. And they used to process these logs, of course. And this poem is written by, in an age when these guys that worked the woods were emulated, were heroes. And so it's just kind of interesting to read this and go back. It kind of brought tears to my eyes. So I'll read it. See how it goes. Come all you honest lumberjacks, a song to you I'll sing, of how the famous roaring Bert was licked by ancient wind. Now Roaring Bert was a walking boss. That winter on Cedar Stream, a bigger, better walking boss, I'll say I've never seen. Full 4 axe handles wide was he, and very strong and tall. And he roared before the camp one night that he could take and fall a spruce tree quicker than any man in all North Country, and slammed upon the deacon's seat $10 of good money, and dared the men to call his bluff, if bluff they thought it was. But all the men knew Roaring Bert, and you didn't hear a buzz. Out of all the crew of hardy lads, full 35 were there, until a chap in a corner dark, where he sat in a barrel chair, spoke up in a voice soft and low, but full of amusement too. Now, Mr. Bert, I'll take that bet. And I'll win $10 from you. I'll get a man from this North Country. He'll be here tomorrow night, and he will fall a big spruce tree, as quick as his axe can bite. And he will beat you all to hell, or my name ain't William Blight. When Bert heard this, he roared aloud, like he, the wildcat in pain. And he swore such a man could never be found, though they went to the state of Maine, where men are born with an axe in their hand, and a peavey twist their teeth. Well, William Blight did only smile until the roaring ceased. And then in accents mild and calm, he spoke when Bert ceased to rave. The man who'll win your $10 for me is the ancient, decrepit Will Sheppy, who has 1 foot in the grave. Now 6 years had passed since men had seen old Win in the woods, you bet. But the fame of his name was very green, wherever woodsmen met. And the 35 in the bar room there sat up in the silent cheer and waited with breathless eagerness to see what they would hear. They gazed as their boss, big Roaring Bert, the best man in the land, a man who'd never been licked in his life, and a man chucked full of sand. But this time Bert knew he was done, and though it grieved him sore, he stood up straight, full 6'2", and cried in his famous roar. In 40 years in lumber camps, I've held my own and more, and by the roaring Jesus, I'll never back down before. But here, Bill Bright, in his is your $10. You've earned them fair and free. For even with 1 foot in the grave, wins a better man than me.